If you were in Wisconsin last spring, you couldn't get away from the Wisconsin Supreme Court race. Ads were everywhere, on your television, on your radio, on your computer, and all those ads cost a lot. This was the most expensive Supreme Court race anywhere in the nation at $114 million. It was more than twice what the previous record was, and that was also set in Wisconsin just 2 years earlier in 2023. And that isn't even counting the $30 million that Elon Musk, one of the richest people in the world, spent on giving checks, $100 million checks out to voters, which is still being challenged in court. I'm Larry Sandler. I'm a longtime Wisconsin journalist, and I'm on assignment for Wisconsin Watch, looking into why Wisconsin has the most expensive Supreme Court elections in the nation. So how did we get here? For one thing, we've got hot-button issues like abortion and legislative and congressional redistricting and public employee bargaining rights. So special interests are interested in getting people on the Supreme Court who are going to rule in their favor on those issues. Then we also have campaign finance rules that are particularly lax, together with federal court rulings that have loosened the limits on how much businesses can spend. You may have heard of the Supreme Court's 2010 Citizens United ruling, but we also had a campaign finance law in 2015 that the Republicans in the legislature passed, and that allowed political parties to receive unlimited donations from anyone and to make unlimited donations to political candidates. So that means that if you're a billionaire like Elon Musk, you're not limited by the $20,000 cap on contributions to a Supreme Court candidate. You can give millions of dollars to a political party, and that party can turn around and give those millions of dollars to the candidate of your choice. We also have in Wisconsin a very close political divide. This is the ultimate swing state. And when you have a state that is so closely divided, either side figures they've got a good chance of winning. We do know that in the last few Supreme Court elections, the political parties were the biggest donors to the justices. We also know that out-of-state donations have been playing a bigger part, and the last two justices who were elected to the Supreme Court, Justice Protasewicz and Justice Crawford, each got a majority of their individual donations from people who don't live in Wisconsin. People across the country are interested in things like abortion, and so you do see that helping to drive up the donations. And then finally, we've got those spring elections, which were originally intended to keep Wisconsin's elections nonpartisan. Now, the Wisconsin Supreme Court races are the biggest thing happening politically at that time of year outside of presidential primary. Another factor are recusal rules, which are the rules on when judges are supposed to step aside from a case. And they're supposed to step aside if they have a conflict of interest. But in Wisconsin, the Supreme Court has adopted a rule that says that they don't have to step aside if one side or the other has given them a whole bunch of money or spent a whole bunch of money to help elect them. And that rule was written word for word by Wisconsin Manufacturers and Commerce, which is the state's largest business organization and which has spent millions of dollars to elect the conservative justices who voted in favor of that rule. So one option for changing the way that things are now is public financing. And we have had in Wisconsin in the past public financing of campaigns, which means that instead of candidates getting money from special interests, they get money from the taxpayers. And we used to have that for all statewide races in Wisconsin, and then the Republicans took control of the state legislature and abolished that and the earlier campaign financing system as well. But now there is talk about possibly bringing public financing back. In some states, we do have a merit system. The way that that works is that there's an independent commission, which is bipartisan or nonpartisan, and those independent commissions are supposed to evaluate candidates based on merit. then the governor has to choose somebody from their list. There is another Supreme Court election coming up this spring. In this next election, we have Appeals Court Judge Chris Taylor on the liberal side and Appeals Court Judge Maria Lazar on the conservative side. And that is already on track to be another multi-million-dollar race. So the people I talk to say no system is perfect. But they also say that if the people in Wisconsin are tired of these multi-million-dollar advertising campaigns and Supreme Court races, there are other alternatives available. I'm Larry Sandler for Wisconsin Watch.